Hi, welcome to Movie Digest. In this video I'm going to explain 2006 horror thriller movie titled When a Stranger Calls. Spoilers ahead. The movie opens to an amusement park where the kids are enjoying their rides. Meanwhile, a girl is screaming from a nearby house and was being attacked by someone. The next morning, the local sheriff arrives at the house. The house is being full of cops and forensic trying to find evidence. Sheriff gets upstairs, takes a look at the crime scene and gets horrified, as the victims are 3 children and their babysitter. They were slaughtered by the intruder. In Colorado, 125 miles away from the crime scene, we see 16-year-old Jill, a high school runner. She seems worried, and suddenly her boyfriend, Bobby, shows up. But Jill ignores him, since she gets to know that he has been cheating on her. She then goes to her friend, Scarlett, who supports Jill's decision to leave Bobby and move on. Scarlett asks her if she is coming to the party that night. Jill replies she has to babysit, as a punishment from her father for exceeding cell phone minutes. Just then, their friend Tiffany arrive. But they fall silent, and we learn that Tiffany is the one who is having an affair with Jill's boyfriend. While every other student is excited for bonfire, Jill leaves with her father. They head towards the house where Jill has to babysit. Her father tells Jill that they will drive her home that night. Later, he tells Jill she should be responsible, and she will not have a phone and car for 1 month, as a part of the punishment. They travel uphill for a long time and finally reach the house, which is in a remote location. Jill's father leaves after dropping her. Mr. Mandrakes welcomes her in, and Jill gets amazed by the house design and the fish pond. Later, Mrs. Mandrakes shows her around, and gives her list of contacts and emergency numbers she might need. She then informs Jill about their live-in housemaid, Rosa, who live upstairs, and also points out the room where the kids were sleeping. Before leaving, Mrs. Mandrakes writes down the alarm code for Jill, and Mr. Mandrakes activates the security alarm and leaves. Jill soon starts to make herself home. She lay down on the couch for some time. She then turns on the TV, but it creates a loud noise, prompting her to quickly switch it off. She gets worried that kids might have woken, and gets relaxed after she didn't heard from them. Jill gets bored and tries to read a book. Suddenly, something popped up in her head, and gets to Mrs. Mandrakes' bedroom. She gets excited and enters the closet, where she tries some expensive stuff. Suddenly, she hears some sound, causing her to put everything back in its place and rush out. She gets back to the living room and calls for Mr. Mandrakes, thinking they have returned. Jill gets scared as no one answers, and starts looking around. She gets relieved after finding Rosa near the pond, feeding the fishes. Suddenly, the phone rings and Jill takes the call. But the person does not say anything, and Jill hangs up. Later, she calls Scarlett and tells her about the house, and Mrs. Mandrakes' closet. Scarlett tells Jill that Bobby is asking her number, and Jill seems interested in talking to him, but Scarlett thinks it's a bad idea. Jill then explains that she only wanted to talk to end things, once and for all. Scarlett then suggests that she should talk to Tiffany. Suddenly, the alarm went off, and Jill rushes to it and quickly enters the code to stop it. Immediately, the security company calls to check if there is an emergency or they need any help. Jill tells them there is no problem and reveals she is just a babysitter. The company calls Mandrakes to confirm Jill's identity and ends the call. Jill calls for Rosa, thinking she set the alarm off, but couldn't find her. The phone rings again, and this time he asks if everything is okay. Jill thinks it's Mandrakes, but it's not them and the caller hangs up. After a while, he calls again, and asks what she is wearing. Jill thinks her friend's playing a prank, and tells them it's not funny before hanging up. She feels something is wrong, and grabs a fireplace poker and starts looking around the house. The stranger calls again, but says nothing. Jill was shocked to find Tiffany behind. Jill says she can't be there and asks how did she get in, and Tiffany tells her the garage door is open. She rushes to the garage and closes the door. When Jill confronts her affair with Bobby, Tiffany apologizes and tells Jill that she is under influence. Realizing that she would get her into trouble, Jill asks her to leave. While leaving, Tiffany was ambushed by an unseen intruder. Later, Bobby calls Jill, and she asks him if he is the one calling, but he denies it. Jill then calls the police, and tells them about the anonymous phone calls. But the police say they can't do much unless there is a real threat. Jill notices Rosa's car and realizes she didn't leave the house. Jill tries calling her, only to find her handbag in the laundry room. The phone rings again, and this time he asks if she checked on children. Hearing that, she gets worried and runs upstairs to check on them. She gets relieved for a moment when she finds the kids were safe. Later she gets downstairs, and the phone rings again. When he asks how were the children, Jill gets horrified after realizing that he can see her. She calls the police again, but the officer thinks she is safe as the house locked up, with the alarm system on. When Jill insists there is a real threat, the officer suggests that she should keep him on the line for 60 seconds to trace the call. After a while, the stranger calls again. This time Jill tries to have a conversation with him, to keep him in line for 1 minute, but fails as he cuts the call. Jill sees a light turned on in the guest house. Believing that Mandrake's son is back from college, she decides to ask his help and calls the guest house, but it straightly goes to the voicemail. Later, she finds a shadow in there, and she goes to the guest house to investigate. Jill finds the house empty. While in the guest house, the phone rings, and it's the same caller. It confirms her fear that he is watching her. She keeps him on the phone for more than a minute to trace the call, only to remember he called the wrong line. Jill looks out the window and finds Rosa's room light turned on. Believing Rosa has returned, she rushes back to the house, and locks it before activating the alarm. While looking for Rosa, she gets the call from the stranger. The caller remains quiet on the other end, and Jill manages to keep him long enough to trace the call. Jill gets to the Rosa's room, but finds it empty. She then hears the shower running in the bathroom. But upon checking, she finds it empty. Later, the police call her and reveal that the calls were coming from inside the house. Jill gets even more horrified when she finds Tiffany's body on the bathroom floor. She rushes to the kids' bedroom and finds the beds empty. Later she checks the box and finds them hiding inside. Jill looks up, and finds the intruder on the loft. She immediately locks herself in a room with the kids. While the intruder tries to break in, the kids and Jill manage to escape from the window and get to the greenhouse. Jill finds the intruder is watching from the other side of the glass. She quickly turns on the sprinklers so that the stranger can't see them. Jill tells the kids to hide, and she gets into the water to hide herself. The intruder enters the greenhouse and searches for them. Meanwhile, Jill discovers Rosa's dead body under the water. The kids come out from their hiding spot, and escape from the greenhouse before the intruder could stop them. They run towards the main door, but couldn't escape as they can't reach the door latch. The intruder finds Jill and starts attacking her. Jill makes him fall into the water, and manages to escape from the greenhouse and locks him inside. She looks for the kids around the house and couldn't find them. Jill finds birds in the living room, and realizes he broke the glass and got out. She finally finds the kids hiding in the fireplace. They run towards the door, and the kids manage to escape while the intruder caught Jill. He chases her while she is trying to escape from him. He drags her down from the stairs, and Jill fights back hard and they both fall down from the stairs. The intruder keeps attacking and tries to choke her. Jill finds a fireplace remote within her reach and lifts it up, distracting him enough to stab his hand into the hardwood floor with a fireplace poker. She quickly escapes from the house and runs into the arms of a police officer. The police arrests the intruder, and the kids are reunited with their parents. The intruder keeps staring at Jill while the cops take him away. Days later, she wakes up in a hospital. She walks out of her room and finds no one around. Suddenly the phone starts ringing, and the intruder appears behind her and grabs her. Jill screams hysterically and wakes up from her hallucination, while the doctors and her father desperately try to calm her down. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to watch more videos like this.